For 11 years, I told people my son had abandoned me. Then, at 76, he called and repeated the 6 words I had shouted as he walked out of my house. "Choose her and don't come back." I remembered saying them. I had simply spent 11 years pretending they did not mean what they meant. My son had not disappeared. I had sent him away. And what he told me next forced me to look at every phone call that never came in a completely different way. The silence started when Daniel was 31. By then, he had been married to Maya for 4 years. They lived 20 minutes from us, and he still came to the family hardware shop most Saturdays. I believe that meant he was finally ready to take over the business I had spent most of my life building. I had always understood love as provision. My father rarely hugged us, but the rent was paid. Food appeared on the table. When the furnace broke, he fixed it before morning. I copied him. I worked late, paid school fees, repaired Daniel's first car, and helped with the deposit on his apartment. In my mind, every sacrifice was a sentence that said, "I love you." But there was another message hidden inside my help. After everything I have done, your life should make sense to me. I did not hear that message then. Daniel did. Daniel had tried to tell me before. When he changed his college major, I called it a phase. When he chose teaching instead of the shop, I asked how long he planned to avoid real work. When he and Maya bought a small home, I walked through every room naming what I would have done differently. I thought a good father corrected the people he loved. Daniel experienced love as a test he could never quite pass. For 11 years, whenever someone asked why my son never called, I gave the same answer. His wife moved him away. She never liked us. It was a clean story. It made me the wounded father and made Maya the reason for everything. The truth was messier, and it began at our kitchen table. Daniel and Maya came for dinner on a Sunday. Before dessert, Daniel told us that Maya had been offered a nursing position in Denver. He had found a teaching job there, and they planned to move at the end of summer. My wife, Eleanor, asked sensible questions. Where would they live? When would they visit? Were they excited? I heard none of the answers. All I heard was that Daniel had made a plan without asking me. I reminded him about the shop. He said he had never promised to take it over. I reminded him about the apartment deposit. He said he was grateful, but a gift was not supposed to become a leash. That word, leash, humiliated me. I felt as if he had taken 30 years of sacrifice and called it control. So I attacked the easiest target. I said Maya was filling his head with ideas. Daniel stood up. He was not shouting. That somehow made me angrier. He said, "Dad, this is our decision. I want you in our life, but I will not ask permission to live it." Then I said the 6 words, "Choose her and don't come back." Daniel looked at me for a long moment. Then he said something I did not allow myself to remember until years later. "I was hoping you would choose me too." He put on his coat, took Maya's hand, and left. Looking back, I understand why I made the moment about loyalty. If Daniel could be accused of choosing Maya over me, I would not have to admit that I was asking a grown man to shrink his marriage so I could remain at the center of his life. I called it respect. What I wanted was obedience. The first week, I expected him to call. The first month, I expected an apology. By Christmas, I had decided his silence proved I was right. At the shop, I kept Daniel's old apron on the same hook. Whenever customers asked about him, I said he had moved on to bigger things. The joke earned a sympathetic smile and saved me from saying the truth. I missed him, but I preferred being missed to being wrong. Eleanor still exchanged cards with them. I pretended not to notice when she stepped into the garden to take a call. Sometimes she left photographs on the counter, Daniel in a classroom, Maya outside a hospital, then a baby girl with Daniel's eyes. I would look when Eleanor left the room and turn the picture face down before she returned. Eleanor asked me many times to write. I always said, "He knows my number." That sentence sounded dignified to me. It was really a hiding place. If Daniel had to call first, I never had to risk hearing how deeply I had hurt him. Years became a kind of wall. Every birthday I missed became another brick. Every holiday photograph made an apology feel more expensive. Pride does that. It turns one painful minute into a debt so large that both people become afraid to touch it. On the morning of my 76th birthday, Eleanor placed a card beside my coffee. Inside was a photograph of a girl with a violin. On the back, Daniel had written, "Lucy is 10 now. She asks about you." I stared at that sentence. I had lost 11 years with my son. I was already losing years with a granddaughter who knew me only as a question. I took out a sheet of paper and wrote what I thought was an apology. It began, "I am sorry, but you must understand how hurt I was." Eleanor read it once and crossed out everything after the word "but." She said, "If your apology explains why you were entitled to hurt him, it is not an apology, it is another argument." That sentence was difficult to hear because it was true. I started again. This time, I wrote 4 lines. "Daniel, I told you to choose between your wife and your father. That was cruel. You did not abandon me. I pushed you away. If you ever want to speak, I will listen without defending myself. I did not ask him to call. I did not mention my age, my loneliness, or the years I had already lost. I did not make forgiveness the price of my apology. I put the card in an envelope and mailed it before I could improve the truth into another excuse. Mailing it frightened me more than the argument had. The card gave Daniel the right to stay silent, and for the first time, I could not disguise control as reconciliation. All I could do was tell the truth and leave the next step in his hands. 3 weeks passed. Then, just after 7 on a Thursday evening, the phone rang. Daniel's name appeared on the screen. My hand shook so badly that I nearly missed the call I had waited 11 years to receive. His first word was simply, "Dad." I wanted to fill the silence. I wanted to say how old I was, how much I had suffered, how often I had thought of him. Instead, I said, "I am here. I will listen." Daniel repeated the 6 words, "Choose her and don't come back." Then he said, "For years, I thought the worst part was that sentence. It wasn't. The worst part was that you kept making it true." He told me he had written twice during the first year. Eleanor had shown me the envelopes. I had refused to open them. He had sent a photograph when Lucy was born. I had turned it face down. He had asked Eleanor whether I wanted to talk. I had said, "When he is ready to admit his mistake." Then Daniel explained why he stopped trying. "Every road back to you required me to say Maya was the problem and you were the victim. I could not keep putting my wife on trial just to be your son." My first instinct was to correct details. Pride is quick, even when it is dying, but I had promised to listen. So I said the sentence I should have said years earlier. "You are right. I was wrong. I am sorry." Daniel was quiet. Finally he said, "I do not know if I can trust this yet." I answered, "You do not have to trust it today. I will prove it slowly." That call did not repair 11 years in one evening. Real reconciliation is rarely a door that swings open. It is more like a path people clear one careful step at a time. For the first 2 months, Daniel and I spoke for 15 minutes every other Sunday. I did not ask why he had waited so long. I did not request photographs as proof that I had been forgiven. When I felt the urge to give advice, I asked, "Do you want my opinion, or do you want me to listen?" Most of the time, he wanted me to listen. By the 4th month, the calls sometimes lasted half an hour. Daniel told me about difficult students, a leaking roof, and Lucy's first violin recital. These were ordinary details, and that was their gift. Trust did not return as a dramatic declaration. It returned as small pieces of everyday life he no longer felt he had to protect from me. I apologized to Maya separately. I did not say that I had only been afraid of losing Daniel. Fear explained my behavior, but it did not excuse making her the enemy. She thanked me. She did not pretend everything was fine. That honesty was part of the repair. 6 months later, Eleanor and I met them at a quiet park halfway between our homes. Lucy stood behind Daniel at first. I did not ask her to hug me or call me Grandpa. I showed her an old photograph of Daniel holding a toy violin at her age. She laughed and moved a little closer. That afternoon was not a perfect ending. It was something better, a truthful beginning. I had spent 11 years waiting for my son to cross the distance I created. Repair began when I stopped measuring his steps and finally took my own. If someone you love has gone quiet, do not begin by asking why they have not called. Begin by asking what it has cost them to call you. A real apology does 5 things. It names what you did. It names the harm. It does not contain the word, but it describes what you will change, and it does not demand forgiveness on your schedule. You can say, "What I did was wrong. I understand that it hurt you. I am not asking you to make me feel better. I am changing this behavior. If you ever want to speak, I will listen." There is no guarantee that one message will bring someone back. An apology is not a key you insert into another person's heart. It is simply the first honest thing you can place outside the door. Before you contact them, make 3 columns on a page. In the first, write what you did without explaining it. In the second, write what it may have cost them. In the third, write the behavior they would need to see change. If the first column contains excuses, begin again. If the third contains demands for their forgiveness, begin again. Repair also moves on 3 different clocks. Your regret may be immediate. Their safety may take months. Their forgiveness may never arrive. Respecting those separate clocks is part of the apology. Consistency matters more than one emotional conversation, one gift, or one perfect letter. For 11 years, I believed my son owed me a call. The truth was that I owed him a safe reason to make one. If this story brought someone to mind, do not write their name in the comments. Just write one word: listen. Then, when this video ends, decide whether there is one sentence you can say today instead of waiting another year. Today, Daniel still does not call every day. He does call without fear. Lucy sometimes asks me about the old shop, and I answer without turning the story into a defense. I cannot recover the years we lost. I can become safer with the years we still have.